Hey, welcome back to Bible and Blues. It has been a long time, and recently, those of you who are believers and followers of Christ, or even who are not strong believers, of course, will completely understand when I say this. I took a long break, but recently God's been hitting me over the head with a 2x4 with telling me that there's something I want you to talk about, Cameron, and so I'm listening. And you have to pardon my really bad lighting. This is actually pretty intentional because I didn't bother cleaning my living room up. You can tell if you look, you see the music stand with game controllers on it. Okay, I've always had that problem with my blinds. My dog chewed that up. Gotta love dogs. But rather than to clean my living room, I just use bad lighting. All right. Yeah, as usual, I really didn't take notes, but I mean, there's something in particular I want to talk about. That's kind of the watering down of faith. And where the heck is my microphone? My microphone's way down there. Hang on a second. I'll probably have to edit this out. But why is that so hanging so low? I don't know. We're gonna work with it, see how it works out. Okay. So it's kind of the watering down of faith is kind of my subject here today. And what I've been noticing is little things like and the particular subject is I belong to a group. It's called the Minimalist Life. If you know about minimalism, you can kind of appreciate what I'm talking about here. It's the whole idea of we don't need to have so much of the crap in our lives that we have. It's the basic concept, and reducing how much stuff is in our lives, and bringing it down to stuff that we actually need. And actually matters to us, and less of the consumerism that's out there. Now, if you what you can see in my background, you can tell I'm not a good minimalist. I'm not really a minimalist. I admire the concept, and I do allow it to seep in just a little bit for when I do make purchases. But obviously, when it comes to certain things like my music and stuff like that, I am anti-minimalist when it comes to that. However, this particular group, now I'm not going to name any names because this is a closed group. It's called the Minimalist Life. It's on Facebook, and this is actually just from this morning. There's other examples I want to bring up, but in particular, I want to talk about this one. And somebody posted, and again, I'm not going to name names. This is a closed group. I joined it when it was still open, and then it closed. So, but somebody posted this question, and they were, if this gets heated, just delete or ignore. But has anyone minimized religion? Okay, and it's very strange, the answers that come up. Okay, and so I'm going to go backwards. Because to me the concept of minimizing and how it would relate to faith would be to remove the distractions of the common world to help you focus more on God. And that's actually kind of the purpose of Lent, is to reduce a distraction, take a distraction out of your life, and be and take that time or that distraction, instead of having that distraction, fill it with Jesus. That's the concept of it. But some of the answers were very unique. Now, the nice thing is that it didn't degenerate into what happens on the YouTube comment section, because the YouTube comment section it degenerates very quickly into just one-upsmanship and all this crap. However, and he said, she said, name calling, all the crap that happens and I've seen a lot of Facebook posts to this. This one hasn't. It's been up for over an hour, and it has many comments. 40-50 comments already. But this is a common answer to this. Is I believe in being a spiritual person. However you choose, seek this. But it can be done without religion, as this feed has already shown too much hate among differences of religion. So I've read enough. I've kept up with it over the past hour and a half, and there's very little actual hate. There's a lot of people who pop on about being atheists, and it's like, why did you even bother commenting if you're an atheist? I think that's actually kind of a unique thing. This is about minimizing religion. And these people pop up saying, well, I'm an atheist. Well, then you're not minimizing your religion. You're just actually You have no religion, right? I mean, well, your religion of atheism. I will say that. If you're an atheist, and depending upon what brand of atheist you are, we'll talk about that on another video that's in my head. And, you know, and sit there and say, and you comment on this. I mean, it's like you're doing a Me Too thing, okay? And it's well, I look at me, I'm an atheist. I minimize religion all the way. Well, why did you even bother commenting? You actually had. I mean, if I listen to you, you have no religion. You have nothing. So why are you? What are you minimizing? You're just jumping up and down and saying, "Hey, look at me, I'm an atheist." Well, which is stupid. Okay, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it really is. It's kind of you know, the person trying to hop up and say, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," is what it is. So we're gonna get those are there. Now, there's a lot of people that that agree with me that this minimizing your material goods helps you to focus more on God. And you know, the concept, and there was one person that brought up the concept of the monastic life is really all about that. You know, being a monk in a monastery, it's all about having fewer material goods to allow you to focus simply on God at all times. I don't necessarily agree with monastic life because it doesn't expand the kingdom of God, but there it is. It's there. But some of the other things that you see that are out there. I mean, of course, here's somebody that's you know, just being, you know, a jerk. Actually, in a way, he's being sarcastic, and you can see it. I'm jealous of people who believe in God; they are immortal. He really is just trying to start stuff. Here's somebody trying to say, for instance, you know, I'm assuming that he has another comment. Oh, okay. I think you could say all religious moderates show us religion can be minimized without being eliminated. My question for this particular person, I would ask, a religious moderate, is that a lukewarm religious person? Is that a person who who wants to say I believe, but I believe the one that I want? Okay, was that what that person is saying? And then they use the instance of gay marriage. Okay, so you know, and you know what, you can be a member of society and have a problem with gay marriage. I'll be honest with you, you can, and you can have an opinion, you can have a voice. I'm not going to give you my opinion today on that. I think you probably wouldn't have to stretch too far to figure out what my opinion is. At the same time, it's just an opinion in the matter. We have, you know, here's one person saying no real religion is anti-gay, because the religions that are anti-gay are hypocritical and breaking their own commandments, rules, following. Here's a person who doesn't even look at things. Okay, hasn't even looked at what the religions are saying. And while there's a whole lot of people that are dying on, you know, against gay marriage thing, I don't die on that particular hill. The people who die on that particular hill, I think, are conflating and elevating sin way higher than it should be, because there's a lot of other problems that we can pay attention to without dying on that particular hill. So that was another one. So here's a person saying, I've been agnostic for years because I cannot say with confidence that science can prove the existence of a higher power, yada yada yada, and neither can it disprove its existence. For years I was literally, oh wow, never mind, this person did what I can't stand in comment section. They did a dissertation. Okay, and this is, hey, look at that. Here's 1,000 words for you to read on Facebook. Guess what? I don't do. I don't do it on YouTube either. So for those of you who like to write a 1,000-word essay in my comment section, just know I'm probably not reading it. Especially when you get 200-300 comments on a, you know, you just can't do it. So here's I'm sorry, let me get some of the sake here. I mean, a lot of people are coming on to the concept of they hate organized religion, and I on a one hand I can kind of see where people come from on that. On the other hand, you don't know enough to be able to do it all on your own. Is my opinion on the matter. You can be a follower of Christ even without a Bible. There is absolutely nothing saying you can't do that. You cannot even have a Bible, and the proof of that is, you know, in China, Christianity is the fastest growing community is growing faster in a place like China than it is, and it's gaining greater strength in communist China than it is here in the United States. Yeah, in the United States, I think we talked about it. And why are people in the United States so lukewarm about about Jesus? It's like, where are all the miracles that happen? Well, you don't see them as much in the United States. Why is that? Because we have so much crap. Again, minimize. Okay, so here's another person, and this particular person looks like it's probably from Russia, or at least using his name is written in Russian script. So here he says, there's a Seymour. I always had. Okay, this isn't a full dissertation. I spend so much time thinking about that. All religions are based on the same principles, just differently worded. Okay, there's another language. They're based on love, forgiving, understanding, and tolerance. No, they're not. And yes, Christianity is significantly different than the others. They teach us to turn the other cheek. No, not many of them actually do teach you to turn the other cheek. If someone hits you with a rock, hit them with bread. And the one point he does have, the biggest paradox, is the oxymoron of religious war. And as a follower, I don't pretend that a religious war is a good war. The religious war is typically not a good war. You change hearts. You change hearts. You don't force it. And so I would agree with that to a certain extent. At the same time, I would say that a lot of the religious wars are simply utilizing the concept of a religion for a different means than the point of the religion. And so, and utilizing, it's like, as an example, Stalin. Okay, Stalin was an atheist. I mean, yes, he went to seminary, but that doesn't mean he believed. He significantly chose atheism. Prior to Lenin, there were over 50,000 Russian Orthodox Christian churches, and post Lenin, many of those churches were destroyed, burned down. Many of those that remained standing were actually designed to retooled to be museums for the state, for the science, for this, for the people, all yada yada yada. And Stalin continued that, and he continued that right up until he got into dealing with World War II. Now, with World War II, in order to assist him in getting support for during the war. During World War II, he actually started to support the church, and because that's where the people's hearts were, and by supporting the church, he was able to get more people. So there's an example of how people will use a religion, attempt to use religion to develop a greater following, or to support their war effort. Instead of just Mother Russia, it was Mother Russia and the Russian Orthodox Church, which, mind you, prior to that, he was destroying them. They went from 50,000 churches, and bear in mind, Russia is a very large area, to less than 7,500. During World War II, that number got up to about 14,000. This is all actually researchable. Feel free to research this stuff, and then post World War II, it dropped back down again. Why is that? Well, he didn't need the religious people anymore. So that's my example of, a religious war is actually rarely really a war about religion. And the religion will be brought in to attempt to bring people involved, and there are many people that will, of course, get pulled into that. So on to the concept of a washed down faith. I mean, that's about as washed down as it gets. So, here's somebody saying, yeah, I don't go to church, so I completely cut that out of our lives. Remember, we're talking about minimizing religion. Don't get me wrong, but you don't have to go to church to get into heaven. Correct. Not denying that. And then they have a problem with tithing 10%. And of my hard-earned income, basically. So I'm selfish, so therefore, yada, 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 right? Hang on here. Oh, I'll call them back. So, and of course, then you have another one right following that. I'm agnostic, in parentheses, what I know. Atheist, what I believe. So why did you even comment? Once again, look at me. I had to comment. Okay. So this is just my concept here is the concept of watering down. I mean, how many of these did I see in here that talk about, you know, just watering it down and turning it into you know, loving your neighbor and that's it. And even though they don't even, and I'm sure if we dig into it, odds are fairly good they don't do that very well, because I don't do that very well. So the concept of minimizing religion, and so many of them popped off with the concept of you know, religion versus faith, and you know, we can have that discussion. Personally, I believe they are fully intertwined. Religion and faith are fully intertwined, and why is that? I'll tell you why. Because what I think is a, a a way of doing something and reading the word, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, and this is one of the ways that we end up with a whole lot of hate coming out of the Bible, is people who are reading it and not actually studying it and not talking to other people about it. We're not debating these things anymore. So we can be completely off about these things, or we can take a single verse, a single line in the Bible. If you take a single line in the Bible and you just make that the hill you're going to die on, you know, you're going to be wrong, and you're going to be in this situation. So whereas religion, organized religion, you know, let's give it the connotation of organized religion. A church, a pastor, deacons, elders, parishioners, place you go on. We've decided it's Sunday. Now, to be honest, does that day really matter? Is it Sunday? Is it Saturday? Personal opinion. No, it really doesn't matter. If something happened and I couldn't go to church on Sunday because, you know, our church was, for some reason our church couldn't have service on Sunday, and they said, well, it's going to happen Wednesday night. Guess what? It doesn't change, you know, the faith. However, when you're part of a group like that, part of an organized religious group, now you have people that you're in community and fellowship with, you're in community with in your faith. Now you're actually having that opportunity, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another in his faith. That is where you find that. You are probably, you are unlikely to find that outside of an organized religious group. And yes, there are bad ones, no doubt about it. There's ones that, which one is it? That it's out in Florida. So they're complete jerks, and they protest things, and they call, and you know, and they give a bad name to all Christians. Westboro, that's the group, the Westboro Baptist Church. I mean, you know, it can be argued that there was no one. It can be argued that the Westboro Baptist Church is not Christian, but they're but they're about 10 people, maybe 20. Okay, and they're really, and have you even heard anything about them recently? Haven't even heard anything about them recently. Basically, their patriarch was kicked out. The person who started it got kicked out of his own thing. Okay, and you know, Fred was his name, I think. So, oh yeah. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, I know I'm all over the place today. I haven't done a video in a while. So here's one. There's a whole lot of people who are saying that they lean towards paganism. Nature is where I find my spirit. Here's by one person. You know, and here's a watered down as pagan. There's a lot of paganists in here. I'm not sure, you know, how strong paganism really is. I know a couple of people who claim to be pagans. That doesn't necessarily mean I dislike them. It just means we definitely disagree with that. They think nature is the end or whatever, and that's kind of unclear about what it is. You know, I can even find a few people that are looking for Ragnarok. You know, of course. you know, and here's something interesting here is I see this actually fairly frequently is I've decided to follow no religion at all since 2015. My mind has never been any clearer and more peaceful than this. In other words, you're not having to think. That's kind of what I got out. You don't have to think about it. So, you know, there you go. You don't have any conflict because you just do what you want. So, okay, watered down religion. You tell me. Do you know some people who are dealing with a real watered down perspective of faith? Do you know people who are really not? You know, I mean, they have really a strange idea of what the Christian faith is, for starters, and maybe, or do you know people who are so hardcore and they're dying on the hill of one issue? If there is one issue that could possibly really, you know, get, and I'm pretty strong about this, and it's being pro-life. I am very, very strongly pro-life, and anti-abortion. And I will tell you, and I freely confess that. I mean, if you want to debate me on that, we can. I had a debate with somebody recently who, you know, apparently because I wouldn't since I wouldn't see their way, I don't look at anybody else's perspective on things, which is kind of funny. He wouldn't see my way. So, but outside of that, I mean, that is a single issue, so I can kind of understand it. However, you know, outside of that, there is so much more, and my perspective about women who have had abortion is not saying ostracize or hate or call them murderers. Okay, that is not my perspective at all when it comes to abortion. My problem with abortion has been a society that has decided to make that not only acceptable, but actually has in recent years even tried to elevate that to something we should celebrate. We should celebrate people who have killed their unborn child. No, and to me, there should be a stigma to it. There should be an issue with it. You should have to not want to do it. You should be looking for the other options, such as adoption and things like that. And so that's that. You know, so I'm not turning this into another video. However, you know, having a watered down religious perspective. Do you are you compromising with the rest of the world? Because to me, that's what's often times you're doing. You're compromising with the society at large to try and trying to fit Christ into the world, okay, and into your worldview. And so, is that what you're trying to do? To me, that's the idea of a watered down faith. And I'm seeing that after post after post after post after post on this. Now, I do see some stuff in here that's you know, of some faithful people who say no, and it's a you know, I fully believe that stepping away from all these material goods has elevated my faith. So you tell me, minimalizing religion, is that something that you could see doing, and what would it look like to you? Personally, I think it would look really stupid. It'd be agnostic. It would be agnostic or atheist, or it would be like, I'm going to water down everything I believe, and I'm only going to be a cafeteria Christian and simply take the stuff that fits my worldview. So you tell me. I've jabbered on for an awful long time. If you're still here, I'm actually pretty impressed. If you are still here, I am highly impressed with you that you made it this far. Anyway, God bless. We'll be talking later.